most members of Congress are anti-Chinese in their sentiment. Most are rather ignorant, I would say, of China and global realities, but whether ignorant or not, they have some say. And so the anti-China sentiment is quite strong. We're going into an election year, which is always further an occasion of exaggeration, fear-mongering, and so forth. So this could even increase the tensions. The tensions over Taiwan are very, very high.
喺睇片之前，大家記得分享、讚好同訂閱灼見名家，最緊要撳埋呢個鐘仔，咁你就唔會錯過我哋嘅最新影片。
一齊睇下 Jeffrey Sachs 教授嘅訪談。可以見到美國不斷加強對中國嘅貿易關係限制。美國點解要同中國打貿易戰？美國實施經濟制裁又有咩目的呢？
There are two motivations well, I would say maybe three motivations of the U.S. policies. And I don't agree with them. But the three motivations are first to try to protect American industry, because America lost a lot of its industry to competition from China and from other countries in the last 30 years, and it believes that protectionism is the way to build the industry once again. So that's one motivation. A second motivation is deliberately to try to slow China's economic progress. This is sometimes called containment, and it's a part of the U.S. policy. I even more strongly disagree with that, because I don't think it's the business of any country to try to hurt the economy of another country, even a competitor. But the United States is overtly trying to hurt China's economy, and I really object to that. The third motivation is military. The claim that the U.S. is taking steps to protect its military technology as part of competition with China, not to hurt the overall Chinese economy. I think that this argument is also greatly overblown, because while countries will have their military secrets and will aim to keep military technology secret, the United States is pursuing a very crude approach to this, labeling so many things military on the idea that maybe it could have a military application, even when the overwhelming uses are civilian. So if this were really the consideration, I think the U.S. and China would negotiate bilaterally in specific detail over specific issues.
你預測中美關係將走向何處？有咩建議俾中國呢？
So what are the implications and prospects of this? Well, first, it is possible, though not likely, that the United States would reverse some of the actions that it's taken. That is the course that I favor, because the U.S. has imposed these steps unilaterally, not as part of any kind of negotiation with China, not under the rules of the World Trade Organization, but simply unilaterally. I've objected each time, but my objection doesn't count other than in the public advocacy. The politics in Washington have remained quite anti-China in this regard. So one possibility, though, is that as the U.S. and China resume a strategic dialogue, which they promised to do, including high-level economic dialogue led by the U.S. Treasury and the Chinese officials in charge of the economy, maybe they would work out better arrangements and the U.S. would remove some of its unilateral policies. I very much hope that's the case. If not, China faces a problem without question, which is that China's growth of exports to the U.S. market has stopped. In fact, this year, China's exports to the U.S. are lower than in 2022, comparing month versus the month 12 months ago. So we can see that the U.S. actions are already having an effect. And this is part of the reason why China's growth has slowed this year. China's slower growth this year is often attributed to the financial problems in the real estate sector or specific within China problems, but definitely a factor in the slowdown is the U.S. trade policy. So my own recommendation for China in response to this is to promote its exports in other markets. So if the U.S. is closing exports to Chinese goods, I would like to see China promote its very effective, low-cost, high-quality exports to the emerging economies. And China's main instrument for doing that, it seems to me, is the Belt and Road Initiative, which is an initiative that I strongly support. It is that China lends money to other countries to buy modernized infrastructure, to build the fast rail or the 5G or the renewable energy grid that those countries need. And by providing low-cost, long-term financing, China's making a big contribution to the development, say, of the ASEAN countries or East Africa or Latin America. So next month, China has the 10th Belt and Road Summit. It's the 10th anniversary of this BRI because it was launched in 2013. I would like to see China announce an expanded Belt and Road Initiative. I think that would be good for China's exports, good for China's economy, and good for the partner countries. So if the U.S. won't accept Chinese exports, most of the world needs them because most of the world still needs fast rail, renewable energy systems, 5G, and other core infrastructure. And China's the low-cost, high-quality producer of that infrastructure. And the BRI is designed precisely to finance that kind of infrastructure. So this is an approach that I would advocate.
教授嚟過幾多次香港？對香港有點樣嘅印象呢？
Probably a couple dozen. Yeah. Many, many trips, many visits. I came around 1981, I think was the first trip. This was a trip also to the mainland and to Hong Kong, and it was very, very thrilling. And you know, I think Milton Friedman may have said it, but I have felt it definitely, which is, as an economist, if you don't love Hong Kong, you don't love economics, you know? So this is kind of home of world market economy. So it's always been amazing to be in this incredibly exciting and vibrant place.
喺局勢緊張嘅當下，香港作為國際金融中心，你認為我哋會唔會受到不利影響呢？
Well, I think we still have not seen the playing out of this story yet because the tensions between the U.S. and China remain very high. The U.S. politics are not in a good shape because most members of Congress are anti-Chinese in their sentiment. Most are rather ignorant, I would say, of China and global realities, but whether ignorant or not, they have some say. And so the anti-China sentiment is quite strong. We're going into an election year, which is always further an occasion of exaggeration, fear-mongering, and so forth. So this could even increase the tensions. The tensions over Taiwan are very, very high. And the BRICS, which expanded by 6 more countries a few weeks ago, and therefore constitute a very important economic group. Roughly 37% of world output measured at international prices have determined to create a non-dollar payments mechanism among the BRICS countries. So the BRICS countries are determined to create a way to engage in international trade that skirts the international banking system. All of this will affect Hong Kong as a financial center if we go further and further down that road of a divided world financial system or a real Cold War. I'm hoping we will not continue in this very harmful and dangerous direction. But if we were to, and I don't think it's impossible, I think the consequences would not be good for anybody, including Hong Kong, because Hong Kong's role is as a major global center of finance, not as a center of finance for one bloc or another bloc, but as a major global center for the whole world. And Hong Kong definitely would like a united world that's trading together, that is engaged in finance together. That is the best for Hong Kong. And that, in my view, is the best for the world too.
下期精彩內容，千祈唔好錯過啦！
I also know that we have a nation-state system in a world where we need global governance. This is a problem because it means that our international institutions, and the one that I work at and for, the United Nations, is too weak. We don't have the kind of global governance to enforce a treaty or to ensure that countries don't free ride or to stop wars and so on. So I'm very much aware of that.
中意名家分析，記得俾 like 同埋分享，支持同訂閱灼見名家，最緊要撳埋呢個鐘仔，咁就唔會錯過我哋嘅新片。